Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is okay, and I want to wish you a happy long weekend. I want to show you, I'm going to try to do a couple of videos to show you how to use the disk encryption, specifically and particularly with the veracrypt tool, which is open source and free source also. Tool which you could use for this encryption, and not only this encryption, but as well as partition encryptions and file encryptions even in some particular cases with all the existing operating systems, like and especially with Microsoft Windows, OS 10 of Apple, as well as all the distributions of Linux. Something also which is very interesting for this software, it is that it could work from a USB device, or it could be used as a portable installation, and you could use it portably. And that's what I'm going to try to do. So this internet site of the this is the internet site of the the software, and it says for what it is in the first sentence here, and who created it. Now what I'll do, I will everything what I'm gonna download I will put in our OneDrive shared folder, and all the explanation, of course, I'll put again in YouTube, and especially in the Discord channel, which Akash created so kindly for us. I'm putting all of my materials there of the off-topic topic there, and I really would love if you could add some additional knowledge materials, guys, your own expertise and your own practical thing there, because it would be much faster and much easier to learn the materials by learning from each other's experience. Without further ado, let's go and do it. What I'll do, I'll go to the downloads folder and I will go and download the portable version. Here you could find out all the different versions for Linux you might install, also different packages. As you could see, it's available for Raspberry Pi, free BSD. Of course, you have the source code. Now, the user guide is really well done and really comprehensive. I strongly suggest you to go and to check it out. And of course, the major operating system of Mac OS 10, Linux, and Windows, they're here. The interesting one here, once again, is the the veracrypt portable. That's what I'll do. I'll go and I'll go and download it. So here it is. I'll go and download, and then I will use it. Okay, so once the portable exe file has been downloaded, what I'll do will be, of course, to open it and to start creating and start working on it. So I downloaded the veracrypt portable already. We saw on the previous videos how to check if the file is genuine, and we know that it's okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just extract it. I need to be administrator on the system, so to be able to do that, say OK on that. I'll accept the license terms. I'll say next. Now I'm going to extract it. Actually, I'm going to copy this veracrypt where it says, and I'm going to browse, and I'm going to go to my. I will go to my to my USB. Remember the YUMI we created in the previous videos, and actually I'm going to put it there. So I'm going to say OK. And I will paste wherever I just copied from a previous window. I'm not going to open the destination, and I'll say extract. And basically what it will do, it will extract it in my USB. Okay, and it will create it in the subfolder called veracrypt portable. So here it is. I'll say finish, and if I go and check my YUMI, well, here it is. Now I could go even further, as you remember we've been talking about. So I could go downloads and find out the other YUMI files which I already downloaded from the internet. I guess they're supposed to be here in the other. And actually I'm gonna download this script there as well. Put it here in the other. And I could use all of these guys. So I'm gonna say Control C. I'll come to Yumi and I'm gonna paste them here. And you see, first of all, I could use still my USB and store files even bigger than 4 gigabyte. That's because of the exFAT I'm using, right? Also, I could actually start the Yumi, and I need to start the exFAT because that's how I created it. And from within my USB, I could actually start the disk. And by the way, if I click show all, it will show me most of the, if there are several USBs, and some of them might be actually USB cards, they might be not shown, but this one will show them. In that case, I don't need this. And I would say hear me, and I could see what's installed already actually. If I saw view, well, you see, and if I want, I could even start from it. So you see how powerful is this simple program, which allows me, and you will see what now I could do with the veracrypt, which I just created. Basically, I could start the portable version of it when I click on this one. I have a 64-bit edition. If you have 34, for sure you could find out file you could start with. I don't think so, though. This is a 64-bit edition of the one. So I could start it. I could say open, and again, you need to be an administrator to be able to open it. And that's how, this is how the interface of veracrypt looks like. So what I want at the moment is to use the veracrypt to encrypt and create not the full volume. I don't want to lose whatever I have in this folder. I would like to create a small partition inside which I would like basically to this partition to be encrypted and protected with a password. And I could go even further. I could create a hidden volume within this partition. So if a third party try to extract from me the password, I could always give a password for the outer volume. That's how they call the initial one. But for the hidden or the inner volume, I might always keep silent, and they might not know that there is such thing, which is really, really cool. So I'm gonna go to the bottom here. Basically what I'll say create a volume. Click on the create a volume, and that's the wizard you could use to create. It says create an encrypted file container, and that's what we will be using. We could also encrypt a non-system partition or drive, which could be a flash drive, and we're gonna see this. And we could actually encrypt the system partition or the entire system drive of your operating system, and we'll try to see this one further as well. So I'm gonna say next, and then it's a standard veracrypt volume, and that would be the one which will be created first, and the outer also they call it. Now I'm gonna go actually and create the hidden veracrypt volume, and this one is really nice because first it will create by default the standard veracrypt volume, and afterwards it will create after this without interrupting the wizard will create the hidden one. So I'm gonna say next on that, and it says normal mode, and that's the way it does it. It will go through the outer volume and afterwards inner on the hidden volume. If I choose direct mode, it will create directly hidden volume only. I don't want to do this. I would like to have both of them. So I'm going to say next, and I need to select the file. Okay, it's important never save the history to be there. So select the file, and my file I will put it on the Yumi, and I will create a file called test, and this will be outer and inner, right? So outer and inner volumes, or I could say volume here, volume, test volume. Let's do it, test volume, outer and inner. And I'm gonna say, well, I could put any extension I want, so I could hide it as a, let's say, it could be a simple, well, you know, it might be very big, so it's better actually to hide it with something more relevant, like a multimedia extension you could use. So I'm gonna say save as this type of file. I'm gonna say next, and that's the outer volume, as you see, which start creating with. Say next. Now you could choose any encryption algorithm you would like. I'm gonna test I'm gonna choose the one which is by default proposed. You might see more information, and you could choose the hash algorithms, as you could see, and you could also learn about this. And of course, you might benchmark or test all of this. So I'm going to choose the default ones. I'll say next. Now, it says how big is my drive, and I need to consider that there will be an internal inside. So basically what I could do, this is what I have as apparently what you do in that case, and especially if you have Yummy and if you have a file stored here, well, you could have bigger, you must have bigger USB device to fix this. In my case, because I'm creating this for a test environment, so I'm going to use anything what I want. I'm going to say 10 gigabyte, and part of this 10 gigabyte I'll use for the hidden volume afterwards. And I'm going to choose here gigabytes. And it's giving you a clear explanation what's going on. Okay, so that's the available space free on my E drive or my USB drive, and 10 gigabyte of it I will actually take and use, and it will remain a little bit more than 7 gigabyte free. So I'm gonna say next. Now I could choose a password here. Always choose a very long and as you see, it could support up to 128 characters password. In my case, I'll choose a very simple one. I'm gonna say outer, because that's for my outer volume. You could actually display the password. You could use the PIM. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a key file, right? I will create a key file, and I'm gonna use these key files afterwards as a two-type authentication together with the password. I'm gonna say key file. I'll say add the file because I need to add it, or actually I need to add it. So what I'll do, I'll go to Yumi again and I will put it here. Well, that's not a good idea. Most of the time what you do, you will create another, let's say, outer volume, which will hide this file inside. And you first open this volume, and afterwards, then you could go and open this volume too using this file, because there will be some other files for the hidden as well. And you don't want that to be in clear text here. But in my case, I don't care at the moment. I will say outer here. Just to create it, and to see afterwards, you could take any technique you want to basically hide these files inside. So I'm going to say open. This is the file which is needed to be used. Okay, and afterwards I'll say okay, and that would be the key file which I need to use after this well, basically that's what I need to choose. I'm going to say generate a random key file, and in that case I will move a little bit here. It's using the SHA-512, so you need to move the mouse inside of this screen, so it's generating this file. You could change all of this after that. So I will actually save it after this. Let's finish. And the name will be, once again, will be outer. Here it is. I'll generate this save, and I'm gonna put it again in the Yumi. I'll say okay, and it will be created, right? So I'm gonna say close, and I'm gonna basically remove this, and I'm gonna say add, and the file now is already generated. So I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna choose this outer, right? So I'm gonna use this outer file with all of this inside, which we just generated as a cipher, which will be protecting as my outer volume as a second level of two-way authentication. So I'll say OK. I'll say next here. Now it says my password is short. Well, I don't care. That's just for, it is for the test only. Now, it's asking, are you going to store large files in this volume? If I say yes, you see it says the default system will be NTFS, which actually makes problems. If you remember, I told you. It's better to avoid this. And when you're creating outer and inner volume, don't use that. And that's why we actually created our major file to be able to sustain large files using the exFAT. But of course, if you need to store a large file, you might always say yes. Do next, and it will create it in exFAT as well, right? So it will create this in exFAT, and basically you might use this if you want to. Other choice, as you see, is a FAT, which is FAT32 or NTFS. In our case, let's do this one. And again, you need to move your mouse inside, so to generate a random, to generate your key. So as doing it as possible, random will be much more stronger, the cipher which will be generated. So it's done now. Now don't ever use quick format, right? It's not a good option. So you're gonna say format, and now you need to wait a little bit. It will take a little bit of time, depending how big is the volume. And afterwards, I will stop the video, and afterwards I'll proceed. Okay, so to show you how to proceed with the inner or the hidden volume after that. So let's wait a little bit. Okay, so outer volume has been created. The next, when I click on the next button, indeed it will start creation of the hidden or the inner volume, right? So it will be a very similar wizard which will be following after. I'll say next, and you see now it shows me only the 10 gigabyte which are designated. That's because it is nested within the outer volume. And what I'll do here, I'll choose let's say 6. I'll choose let's say 6.99, almost 7. Well, I could say 6 gigabyte to be taken. So almost 4 gigabyte will be left for the outer volume. So I'm gonna say next, and I'll choose the password, and that will be obviously inner. And the same way I could actually use key files, and I need to generate a new one, so I'm gonna generate new one. I'm gonna go and generate this new file, and I'm gonna call this one inner actually, just in case. Here it is. I'll say generate and save the file, and I'll go here to the Yumi, and I'm gonna generate it and save it there. So I'm gonna add this file which I just generated. I will go to Yumi, and that would be the inner file, and here it is. I'll say OK, and then I'll say next, yes, for the password. I'm not gonna create large files. This one, now what you do, you put files which are mostly text, and files which are not multimedia most of the time. So, but if you need a large file, of course you could use it. So I'll say no, and indeed it will basically work with the FAT in that case, as you see, FAT32. So I'm gonna create again the pool, the random pool, so to encrypt well the hidden volume, or the inner volume also, as I call it. Another couple of seconds to move, and then I'll say format, and this time format will be very fast. Here it is, and it says the hidden volume has been created. So here it is, and I'm done. I'm gonna say exit. Now what we physically see, if I go to this PC and Yumi, I see the two files which I just created. The test volume, which is, that's the file which we work on. And this file actually, as you see, it's about 10 gigabyte big, right? Now, outer will be a key file which we will be using to open the outer volume, and inner will be the key file when we're opening the inner volume within this volume. And basically we could store wherever we want afterwards there, right? So the problem here will be what we need to mention for sure is if we would like to choose and now mount and see what we have, or start adding files in our outer volume, we're going to choose here a letter, and I need to say select file. In that case, I need to choose a file, and I need to go and on Yumi and select the file, which is called test volume. Okay, that's the file. And basically what I need to do now, I need to say mount. So I need to mount this file to my file system, and it will be mounted with the Y letter. So I'm going to say mount. Now I need to put the password. If you remember, it was outer, and I need to use a key file here. So the key file, I'm going to add it. It's again in my Yumi, and we said it's better actually to create another hidden volume and you to hide it inside. This hidden volume most of the time will be protected only with a password, but very strong, let's say. In my case, I put them directly here, so I'm going to say outer. I'm going to say OK. Now, very importantly here is when you're opening the outer volume, when you're copying files, and if you remember, we chosen 10 gigabyte of it. The full file is 10 gigabyte, and 6 gigabyte is for the hidden volume, and 4 gigabytes are for the outer volume. So this one's supposed to be 4, and this one's supposed to be the volumes. When we're talking about, they're supposed to be 6. Now, if you put something, actually, if I try to put this big file inside the outer volume, it will destroy the inner volume. Well, it's really, if you actually click OK on that, it might basically tells you this. So if I click right away like that, it might basically give you a message about this. It's a dangerous thing, and you need to protect your inner volume. So let's see what will happen now. As you see, now it is logged in. We are logged in here. And if I go and check, I have now the Y volume. Here it is. And if I click inside, sorry, that's not the one. This is this one. Here it is. It says that I have 10 gigabyte, but that's not true. It has only 4 gigabyte. 6 gigabyte are designated for the inner volume. So we need to be very cautious with that. And what I'll do here, I will dismount this, and I will mount it again, but this time I will do it properly. So I'm going to choose first the file, select the file. Again, I'll go to Yumi, and in Yumi I'll choose this file. And then I will mount, I'll put outer as password. I'll choose my key file again. It's in Yumi. Now what I need to do is to click here where it says I need first to add this. So what I need to do here is to say mount options. And in the mount options, it says protect hidden volume against damage caused by writing in the outer volume. So in that case, I need to choose the key file for the inner volume. It won't be seen, but I will protect it in that way. So if I try now to put a bigger file, which is bigger than what I have as an outer volume, as a storage space, it will actually not destroy it. It will refuse to put it, and we'll see how that works. So I'm going to add the file here. And I'll do this one, inner, I need to add in that case. I'll say OK. And I need to put inner as a password. And I could say OK. And now I could say OK. And it will again add to Y the outer volume, but this time the inner volume will be protected. So let's see. And here it is. It says now the hidden volume is now protected against damage until the outer volume is dismounted. And I see again 10 gigabyte, but it is not really 10 gigabyte. And let's test it. So I'm gonna, this is the one. And if I want from my drive, the big file, which is 5 gigabyte, and it is much more, it's 1 gigabyte more than what I have on my Y drive. If I try to paste it here, let's see. It's supposed to refuse to do this. It's supposed to refuse because it's supposed to protect. Otherwise, it will damage the inner volume. Now, as you could see, it says that there is an attempt to be safe in the hidden, but it's whatever we're trying to add is not possible, so we need to say OK, and it will be actually, we need to stop this, right? So it won't go there. So this one we will protect. And if we would like to see how we could see our, now if we want to see our inner volume or the hidden volume, well, we need to dismount first this one, and then I'm gonna use here it is. I could say on X, and I could now select the file again, but this time I will try to see the inner volume, and here it is. I'm gonna say mount, I'm gonna use inner. In that case there is no need to have protection because we accessing directly the inner volume, but we need still to add the key file, and that would be inner in that case. Say OK. And we have it now, and you see it shows 6 GB, which are part of this 10 GB. So I could actually dismount, I could actually open it as well. Here it is, and it is mounted as X. Well, there is nothing inside, but I could always, I could create a file. I could say new text document, and I could say inner text document. And if I dismount this, and if I go and mount, let's say, choosing different letters for me, it's just helping me to know which one is which. Otherwise, you could use the same letter if you want to. So I'm gonna do the same for the inner for the outer volume as well. So I'm gonna say mount outer. I use key file, and the key file will be the outer. Don't forget to protect the outer file. So mount options. Protect, it will be inner, and I'm going to use the key file for inner, and that would be inner. We say OK, we say OK, and we say OK. We have our inner file protected, so I'm gonna say, well, it says cleanly dismounted. If you remember, it was asking us how to do it. I could check for errors if I want to. It's okay, there is no problem. So it will check it. I'll say press enter to continue. And the hidden volume now is protected. So always, if you dismount volume, either in that case it was the hidden volume. If you dismount it not properly, always go through the check. There is no problem with that. It will fix actually the errors. And now if I go and open it, right click and open, I'll see there is no files there. I might actually, here it is, and that's the one. Yeah, the big file, we need to remove it. It's just part of it. If I try to open it, it won't be, I won't be able to use it for sure. And once you delete it, you might add other files inside, and again you might dismount everything, and you could start using both created the way you want to use them. So with this, I wish you a pleasant day, and thank you for watching the video.